Okay, squeezing a little harder now. You see I'm getting more bubbles out of it. Wow, that's a lot of bubbles there in a row, and they're all coming up into the Oh, hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I just recently went for a bike ride and noticed that my brakes on my bike were getting a little spongy. These bikes that I have, this CyRusher XF900 has what they call hydraulic brakes. So you can see here that there's a normal amount of play here. This is for the front wheel. The hydraulics will activate little pads down here in the wheel and stop the bike. So you can see here I've got about halfway range on my front brake. You can see on this one, the back brake, I can almost close the handle all the way to the back of the handlebar there. Now the reason I'm setting the bike up on a hill like this is because these brakes operate with what they call hydraulic fluid. It's basically a mineral oil. So the brake line runs down the bike inside this tube all the way to the back disc brake. And what I'm thinking I can do here is, some people will shake the bike up and down, and I've done that a little bit, and then pull the brake several times like this. And what that does is that gets any bubbles that form inside that tube to come up here to the very top. And the reason we do that is so that when we go to top off the fluid, we know that all the air from the system is up here at the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew these little set screws here and then top off the system. So I'm just going to leave the bike like this for maybe about 30 minutes or so. Just let any air migrate its way up to the top of the system, so that when I go to top off it, it's going to have all the air at the top. And also what I'll do is, in between, as I pass by, I'll just shake this I'll just shake the brake lever here, so that it puts a little stress on the system to make bubbles kind of coax up.
2 hours later.
Okay, so what I've done now is I've had the bike sitting in its angled upright position to get all of the fluids to go up to the top of the bike. So what I've done now is I've got the bike sitting sort of level, so that this part of the bike in the hydraulic system has the highest point available, so that any bubbles that are in the system will come up to this point. All right, so what I've done now is, after leaving the bike sit for a while and then pumping the hand brakes and such, I think I've gotten all the bubbles up to the very top of the system now. So what I'm going to do now is make sure that I have the bike kind of sitting in a position so that the handle is where the top of the hydraulic is going to be, at the uppermost area, so the bubbles can come out. All right, so let's have a go at this now.
Moments later.
All right, so most folks probably think that these are Allen set screws. These are not. These are called torque screws, and I've got a little key set here for them. And you can see here at the very edge of this, it's got kind of like a star pattern. So I've already got this set up. So what I'm going to do is just loosen this up a little bit, so that I can get to the inside of it. And usually, sometimes on these screws, you're going to have like a little seat underneath it, a rubber ring, if you will. So I want to make sure I don't lose that. So as that comes out, I can see the rubber ring still inside there. Okay, so I'll set the screw to the side. And what they do is, in these hydraulic refill kits, what you can do is get these little reservoirs that have a tap screw at the bottom, so that you can screw it directly into the port that you've just opened. Now, I've seen others, they've actually taken the rubber ring out before doing this step. But what I'm doing is just going ahead and putting it in like this. And let me get another shot. All right, so what that does is that sets you up with a reservoir up here to do your pouring into. And in these hydraulic kits that you get, I've actually gotten what they call a bleed kit. Okay, and it had these components in that I'm using. So Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this reservoir up with this mineral oil. And by the way, what's mineral oil? It's just you know, a generic oil. It's not really harmful to humans. These are normally tinted red so that you can see it in case you spill it. So you can see I put a little bit in the reservoir there. I've got some on my fingers, but it's okay. I've got a rag nearby. So what I'm going to do is pump my handbrake here, and you can see that bubbles come up periodically. And what that's doing is that's allowing the bubbles from the system to come out. You can see them coming out there. It's going to be slow go, but you want to keep doing this for quite some time until all these bubbles come out, and you'll feel that the back pressure on the brake gets stronger. Okay, so there goes a bubble up the pipe. You can also see it that way. Okay, there goes another one. So I'll just keep pumping this. This is the worst part of this, because you really have no sense of what you know, how far along you are. Just got to keep doing it. And what I found to do is kind of do this for a while and then kind of, you know, let it sit and then come back to it. I can already feel this brake handle getting a little bit tighter. Okay, there goes another bubble. You can see it come into the cup then. And you know, you're not really using a lot of the fluid, but every little bit helps. I assume what it is, the compression rate of air versus the mineral oil is significantly different. Here you can see some more bubbles coming up now. And again, as I say, just keep doing this until basically you encounter a several minute period or minute period where they're not coming up anymore. A lot of times folks will have the thought that, oh no, my brakes are wearing out. And the brake pads are actually you know, pretty robust. They'll last a long period of time. But 9 times out of 10, if you've got your brakes that aren't working as well as you think they should be, it's going to be your hydraulic fluid on your hydraulic bike brakes that cause that symptom. There you go. You can see I've still got some more coming up. Okay, bubbles are getting smaller now. You can see them coming up the tube. Okay, squeezing a little harder now. You see I'm getting more bubbles out of it. Wow, that's a lot of bubbles there in a row, and they're all coming up into the reservoir. Wow, there's quite a few there. I didn't know I had quite that much. You know, on these bike trails that I go on, you know, I'm hitting so many ruts and bumps, particularly on the downhill portions of the runs I do. I don't know how this oil ever gets out of the system, but you know, it will penetrate the hoses at some point. Okay, I'm squeezing harder now. Still seeing a little bit, but nothing like I did before. So pretty confident I'm near the end now of this. And also I can tell, like when I pull the handbrake, you know, it's just a small amount before I get any resistance on it. So I'm thinking I'm very, very close now. All right, so it's going to go ahead and take what's in the reservoir, pour it back into my bottle. Normally there's, I've seen other folks use a little stopper that goes in here, but I don't know why this kit didn't have that when it came to me. So I'm just going to pull this top off quickly and put my finger underneath it. And look at this, I actually pulled out that rubber ring that was in there, so I'm going to take that off of the fill port, put it back in here. And you'll notice I have a full level there. Put my screw back in, start tightening them down, and I'll just repeat that for the other side. You want to make sure you don't cross thread these guys. So I'm doing all this by feel. Okay, very light pressure, very light pressure. Okay, you can see I'm just torquing that. I'm guessing it's just a little bit of pressure there. I didn't even go to lever it because I'm so afraid of stripping this out. This is probably an aluminum housing. So what I'm going to do now is just wipe off and clean up a little bit here.
More moments later.
All right, so for the cleanup, I'm just going to use some glass cleaner here, spray it over the area, and get that oil off there. Because one thing I don't want to do is have, you know, oil being a variable factor when I'm on my handlebars here and, you know, going to apply my brakes. So I'll do a cursory sweep there, and then come back and get the rest of this off. Okay, so it's just as easy as that. All right, well that's all it is to it. Basically, I've done this one side again. I just made sure that I had this system up to a point where, you know, it was at the highest point, so all those bubbles would work out. I'm going to go ahead and do my other side next, but I can do that on my own. Hopefully this gives you the idea how to do this. You know, these bikes are, you know, they're not cheap. You get the hydraulic brakes, they're going to, you know, be a, you know, higher level bike, and you'll have to do some maintenance with it. So hopefully this will help someone, give them the confidence that they can do this kind of maintenance on your own. Again, I'll put a link in the description for the materials I've used, the hydraulic bleed kit, the mineral oil, that kind of thing, and you'll be able to do it on your own. Okay, thanks a lot.